Welcome to this specially called meeting of the DDRC. As it said in our public advertisement, this meeting is open to the public, but is not a public hearing, and no other business will be discussed or acted on. So to that point, as has been advertised, we will not be taking any comments from the public in this hearing. Depending on how this goes, there might be opportunity in March in the regular public hearing, but today we won't be taking comments from members of the public. With that, could I have a call the roll, please?
Certainly. Mr. Bachnight.
Here.
Mr. Broom.
Here.
Mr. Cohn.
Here.
Ms. Fuller-Wilt.
Here.
Mr. Savory.
Here.
We have Mr. Dinkins.
Here.
We have quorum.
Thank you. Could I have a motion to go into executive session, please?
Second that.
So
Make a
moved.
motion to move to executive session.
Second.
Thank you. I'll state it for you, and do you have it? Do you have the agenda, Sanford? There you go.
I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session to receive legal advice where the legal advice relates to a pending, threatened, or potential claim pursuant to SC Code Section 30-4-70.
Could I have a second, please?
Second.
We have a vote.
Mr. Bachnight.
Yes.
Mr. Broom.
Yes.
Mr. Cohn.
Yes.
Mr. Dinkins.
Yes.
Ms. Fuller-Wilt.
Yes.
Mr. Savory.
Yes.
Motion passes.
We'll go into executive session now. Thank you.
Start this. Okay, thank you. It was just crazy.
No, it was crazy.
Okay. Could I have a motion to come out of executive session, please?
I'll make a motion to come out of executive session.
Second?
Second.
I thought I was supposed to do that later, but I'll do it now. Let the record state that no action was taken in executive session. And I think we had a second to come out of executive session, so if we could have a vote, please.
Mr. Bachnight?
Yes.
Mr. Broom?
Yes.
Mr. Cohn?
Yes.
Mr. Dinkins?
Yes.
Ms. Fuller-Wilt?
Yes.
Mr. Savory?
Yes,
Motion passes.
thank you. At this time, does any member have any further business?
I do. And I would like to make a motion with regard to the applicant at 1600 to 1620 Gervais Street. And I'll make the motion to rescind the actions taken by the DDRC at the January 9th meeting, in which it was to deny a certificate of design approval for the site plan and the design.
Is there a second?
A second.
All right, a motion has been made to rescind the actions taken by the DDRC at the January 9, 2020 meeting to deny the certificate of design approval and the site plan approval for 1600, 1620 Gervais Street. At this point, I would open for discussion, comment by the commissioners, and I'd ask Mr. Harris first.
I just feel that when we were presented with the amount of information at the January 9th meeting, I think we would have benefited from having more time to consider all the things that were presented to us in the information with respect to the guidelines, and ultimately which we had just deferred.
Thank you.
My take.
Any more discussion from other commissioners? Okay. I had stated earlier that there wouldn't be an opportunity for members of the public to comment, but if there is a strong desire to comment, I would entertain that now. I would like to limit that to 2 minutes, and I would ask that we strictly keep that to any comments in response to the motion to rescind, not in reference to the merits of the application, only regarding the motion to rescind. Depending on how this vote goes, if it is rescinded, then there will be ample opportunity if the applicant comes back for comment from the members of the public at that point. And if the motion fails, then of course that would be moot. So if there are no further comments, yes, sir. And would you state your name, please?
My name's Dick Harpootlian.
And would you swear to tell the truth in these proceedings?
Sure.
Thank you.
And I'm an attorney, and I also am a member of the state senate. A motion to rescind would indicate that apparently that you did not have enough information at the time. You felt now that you didn't have enough information at the time to make the right decision, a rational decision, a good decision. And I don't know whether you were here or not to vote, but apparently you should have been, I suspect. Everyone made presentations. Everyone abided by the rules. Everyone came before you and gave you all the information they thought was relevant. And now the applicant gets a mulligan, a go-over, because it didn't go the right way. That just doesn't seem to me to be fair or just to these folks who are going to be impacted by another student dormitory in our neighborhood. And I live near this neighborhood, and I deal with the university, and I'm dealing with it more and more every day. All that's going to do is increase traffic, and I'm not talking about the merits, but what was it that you didn't know when this came before? Why didn't you do your job the first time, I guess is what I'm saying. Why do these folks have to go through all this again? So I'd encourage you to not pass this motion and do your job. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Tom Gutschall. I'm the president of the University Hill Neighborhood Association.
You promise to tell the truth in these proceedings?
I do.
Thank you. And again, only to the motion, please.
With respect to the motion to rescind, I too want to make the point that the proceedings were open. Everybody made their presentations. They were fully made. In fact, members of the commission asked some questions. To rescind seems to me to be unfair and on a procedural basis as the thing to do. So we would ask that you vote not to rescind, and if the opposition has an objection to this, then they could appeal to the circuit court. We believe that you had substantial basis upon which to make the decision that you did, and we believe that a court would sustain that. So we are disappointed, but we hope that you will not adopt this motion to rescind. Thank you.
Thank you. And if you would state your name and promise to tell the truth in these proceedings.
Yes, I will. Good afternoon. My name is Lindy Bryant. I am a counsel for Trinitas Development, LLC, the applicant, and I swear to tell the truth in the proceedings. As the commissioners are aware, we submitted a letter in favor of the motion to rescind the vote from the January 9th hearing. The reasons that we support a vote to rescind and a rehearing of this matter is set forth in our letter, which I would incorporate into my position here today. Those are that the vote was based on a mistake of fact. It was affected by procedural deficiencies in that the commission took into consideration use of the property. And finally, that there is new evidence that the applicant would like to submit to this commission in light of the questions that were raised at the January 9th hearing, which my client was not able to respond to at the time. For those reasons, we request and support the commission's vote to rescind and would ask that it pass. Thank you.
Thank you. Very briefly, please, yes.
We had submitted a FOIA request to the DDR for any submissions made on behalf of Trinitas, and I understand from the presentation just made that there was a letter. That letter was not turned over to us. So the purpose for our trying to find out through the FOIA what was going on was to see what was the reason. What was the reason that this was to be possibly considered for rescission? That reason was very briefly stated. I don't know what the facts are that they submit were wrong or weren't there or whatever it was. We've had no notice of this and so could not respond to that, so I object to the meeting at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything further? Any other comments from the commissioners? Sure. So that is clear on the record, I reiterate what counsel said was that the letters that were just referred to were just received by the DDRC here in this meeting and not prior.
My name is April Lucas. I live in the University Hill neighborhood.
Do you swear to tell the truth in these proceedings?
I swear to tell the truth. I'll keep it very brief. We think that Trinitas had all the information that the neighborhood could provide. We had lots of meetings with them before the hearing. So I don't think they can argue surprise about the neighborhood position. So there are a lot of people here today to protest this project. I would like to ask all of them to please stand. As you can see, this is critical for us. It's life or death for our neighborhood, which is small but historic, and is also central, not only to our city, but also to the state and people who come into the state to look and to see and to drive around. This is life or death for our neighborhood. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And again, any comments, please, only on the motion to rescind, not on the merits of the application, as I said earlier.
Yes, sir. Chairman Savory, Tom Gottschall again. I would move that you continue this hearing and that we see the purpose. We have still not seen the purposes for which the rescission is requested. And so in order to be able to respond to that, we would respectfully request that you continue this until another scheduled time so that we could all respond to each other's positions. But we have not seen this document submitted today. Thank you.
Thank you. And again, I would say that we had not seen it until today. I haven't had a chance to read it, and I don't think the commissioners had. And I don't think these letters are the purpose of this motion that was made by Mr. Harris. Sir?
I'm Jim Daniel.
Yes. Swear to tell the truth in these proceedings.
I do. I guess I'm confused. This meeting was called as a result of something that occurred that got this back on the DDRC agenda. If neither side has seen what the other side has presented, what exactly precipitated why we're here today? Somebody had to file something. Who filed that? What did they request? On what did they base it on? I mean, it looks like this is a big, real issue of transparency here. I mean, we're here for some reason. Why are we here? Who filed it? And what did it request? Thank you.
Thank you. I can only say that my understanding is that a commissioner or commissioners requested this meeting of staff, and that was it. And I'd like to keep these comments.
But I mean, and again, I'm an attorney. I litigate every day. So what we understand is somebody, for some reason, asked for this meeting and asked for the motion to rescind, right?
Correct.
And it appeared before you got a letter, any written communication from
That is
the
correct.
applicant. And after receiving that, so somebody communicated with somebody on the board to ask them to make a motion to rescind before any written communication was received, correct?
I don't know the details. I wasn't involved in the conversation.
Well, but
there was no ex parte communication.
No, well, there had to be
relative
ex
to this.
parte communications.
Only with staff and a commissioner or commissioners, not among us.
So somebody made a request of staff, and staff did this.
That's correct.
Right.
Okay, so the staff decided to set up this, or asked for the motion to rescind. So it's the staff recommendation to rescind.
No, a commissioner asked staff what their options were. The legal advisor said they would need to ask the chair, that staff would have to ask the chair to call a special meeting to address the issue that there was concern from another commissioner. That's the order of events.
I guess what I'm trying to say is one commissioner initiated that request.
Correct.
Before staff approached him or after? Did he approach the staff, or did the staff approach him?
Staff was approached by a commissioner.
Okay, so why did that commissioner approach the staff? What communication did that commissioner have with somebody before they asked the staff? That would be ex parte and would be illegal. So if that's what's happened here, I'd ask you to put off making a decision today, let everybody see what they say, why they ought to have that. And maybe, I'm a lawyer. If I look at it and say, oh, they got a legal basis, I'd advise these folks that you ought to go forward with rescinding it. But we don't know. We're here, and what is clear is that one of you approached the staff and asked that this motion for the rescind was set up. And is that based on, and we need to know what that was based on. And at some point, that commissioner will be under oath somewhere answering who approached him, when they approached him, how they approached him, and why they approached the staff. I'm just saying, look, if I was advising you, and you've got a lawyer here, I'd take a deep breath before you take this next step. Thank you.
Mr. Balthaser, please.
And if I may, let me try to address that question about how this matter got before the commission today. There's only two ways that a matter can get on the agenda or can be heard by the commission. At a regularly scheduled meeting, a commissioner could have taken the floor and moved to rescind the action if that was what a commissioner wanted to do. In that case, the motion would have been made without any notice to the public whatsoever. In this situation, a commission member went to staff and asked staff to place on an agenda a matter concerning 1600, 1620 Gervais Street to be heard at a meeting. So that's why we are here today. There was not a motion made until today. Today could have been a very short meeting. It could have been that no one decided to make a motion today. The purpose of today's meeting was simply to consider and to hear whether a motion would be made by someone. I don't know if that clears up anything for how we got to where we are today. This could have been put on a regularly scheduled meeting, but instead it was put here on a special called meeting, which really has no significance other than it's just done at a meeting, specially called rather than a regular meeting.
Thank you. I think with that, unless there are any other comments to be made by commissioners, I'm going to ask for a vote on the motion that has been made to rescind the actions taken by the DDRC at the January 9, 2020 meeting to deny the certificate of design approval and the site plan approval for 1600, 1620 Gervais Street. May I have a vote, please?
Did we have a second to the motion made by Mr. Cohn? There was already a second. Okay, thank you.
Yes. Yes, we did.
Sorry, I did not hear that. Who was that?
I second it. That was me.
Motion, second. Thank you. Mr. Bachnight,
No.
Mr. Broom,
Yes.
Mr. Cohn,
Yes.
Mr. Dinkins,
Yes.
Ms. Fuller-Wilt,
No.
Mr. Savory.
Abstain.
3 to 2, the motion passes.
Thank you. Is there any further business? Could I have a motion to adjourn, please?
Motion to adjourn?
And a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Meeting adjourned.